Hello everyone. Sorry, we are so late in starting. If you don't know, there's a motorway in London, or around London, which is called the M25, and it was closed. So it was a good 4-hour delay, which was excellent. But we're here. So thank you for your patience. We're just loading up Unreal Engine now, and we'll get started. So for those who don't know what this is all about, this is Retro Remake, and Retro Remake is a yearly show we do. We do an episode each month where we take a game from our past and we try to refresh, update it, remake it inside of Unreal Engine. And this is typically voted on by my patrons, so thank you to everyone who voted for out this year's game, which is Day of the Tentacle. Day of the Tentacle, pardon me, if you don't know, is a point-and-click adventure game. So a lot of the things you're going to learn throughout this year-long course thing is how to do a point-and-click adventure game. Okay, so it's not just about making it exactly Day of the Tentacle, it's more about how to make a point-and-click adventure game and the things just to consider. So yeah, I have no idea what went wrong on the M25, Stephen. Police closed it all down. And I live by the bridge, so for those this is very unique to people who live near London in England. But yeah, the M25, there's a bridge, and that was closed. So yeah, you had diversions in everywhere and everywhere. An absolute nightmare. Okay, we are in. Okay, just turn the music down in my ears. Concentration. So, yeah, as I said, we're remaking Day of the Tentacle, a point-and-click adventure game. If you don't know what a point-and-click adventure game is, these games involve you being presented a level, and you have to click on different items, different objects, to either pick them up, inspect them, or whatever, to solve problems and puzzles. And that's essentially what the game is. So there's quite a lot of these games out there. Dead Tentacle is one of the more famous ones from LucasArts. Yes, the Lego Bowser is new. That was a gift from my wife. Yeah, it's cool. He's a big boy. He is pretty heavy. Anyway, so we're here. So typically when we're starting out any game, there's the 3 C's we're going to start off with. I've done a video on these before. We're going to start off the camera, character, and controls. Okay, and for a point-and-click adventure game, these are really crucial because that's pretty much the whole game. So we need to worry about those. We're also going to be covering a topic which I haven't yet covered in a video before, but we're going to do it today, called bitmasking. So bitmasking, we'll get to it, is really useful, a really efficient way of doing some really cool things with it. Let me just move that over here. Let me get up. Sorry, 1 second. So I'm trying to get the list up of the actions you can do. I can't remember all 6. I think it's 6 of them, but I can't remember what they are all. Okay, I've got a list. Cool. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, we want to write about the 3 C's starting off with this. And so it's quite a detached game, this. You don't control character directly. And Day of the Tentacle is a type of point-and-click adventure game where you do control character. So the way you navigate around the map is by clicking and letting the character walk to a location to use something. So we want to try and simulate that in this instance. So we're going to set up a separate actor for the camera for this. And I'll make a new folder as well for the game. And in here, we're going to have a BP camera. And the reason why we're using the camera is because it allows us to have a bit more movement around it. It's not necessarily tied to the character. So we want a bit more movement around the whole map. So spring arm to keep our camera at a certain distance. And then we're going to have our camera attached to it. Yeah, Sam Max, another classic example of these types of games. So with the spring arm, I'm going to turn off the collision test. So we don't bother with that. And we'll hit save and compile. Now do. Actually, no. We'll go back to the SI. And on the event graph and begin play, we're going to get the player controller. And we're going to set the view target to this thing. So set view target with blend. And we'll set it to self. So this allows us to change the camera to this camera at the very start of the game. So if I literally just drag this into my scene, like that, hit play, and my character is over there. There you go. So obviously our character is not going to be controlled by us directly. We'll be indirectly doing this. So that's what we're doing. But what we're going to do is we're going to attach this thing to our character. Well, not attach it. We're going to make it move to the character. So on our tick event, this thing is going to constantly want to try and move towards the player character. So I'm going to do a v-interp2. This allows us to interpolate a movement between one location and the next over time. So we need to put in a delta seconds in the delta time. The current value is going to be our actor's location. Now, one thing to note about these type of games, they are typically 2D. So we're going to do it 3D, but I still want to keep that essence of the 2D alive. So we're not going to have the camera go in and out of the screen. We're going to keep it on that 2D plane. So we're going to keep the get actor location as the current value, but the target value is going to be my get player character. And we're going to get the actor location of that. But I'm only interested in one direction of it. So what I'm going to do here is split this open. And split this open. And I want it to follow, and you want this to be consistent with all your levels. So I want it to follow the Y location. I'm not worried about the X, which is this. Okay, so Y and Z is where we want to keep it going. So bring that back over here. So Y and Z. I then also want to plug in the current X location of the camera because this might change per level. So I'm going to take out my return value here and break it open. And I only want the X going into that there. Now, insert speed is how fast the camera's going to move. So it's interesting, like you can mess about with this however you want. I usually always put it as 3 to start with, and I then tweak it as I need to later on. And then I'm going to set the actor location to this. Actor location. Compile, save. Okay, so as you can see here, my camera's now attached to the character, and we've got this slight, almost like lag behind the character, which is pretty nice, but we're not affected by this inwards movement. Okay, so as my character moves around the scene, we can make them follow, and it will follow up the ramp as well, which is pretty unique way of doing it. But we'll be doing some interesting things with this using camera modifiers later on, because as well as going up, I want to sort of angle it up a little bit, so it gets a nice 3D section of this. Okay, next up is the player controller. Because it is a different type of game than your typical third-person game or first-person game, you're definitely going to need your own player controller. So player controller, BP adventure controller, we'll call it. And we'll open this up. And the first thing we'll do is turn off auto manage active camera target. We don't want that. That basically is a setting that makes it take possession of the camera or whoever you're possessing. And we don't really care about that. So we turn it off. Player camera manager cast will be coming back to that in the future. What we can actually do is make it right now, actually. So I'm going to make a new one. In game BP camera manager. Leave it like that. And there we go. So I'm going to leave it as the custom player camera manager there. Camera managers basically handle how the camera's going to operate. You can do things like called modifiers on them, which we'll be messing about with down the line. Down here, we're going to turn on show mouse cursor, and we're also going to enable click events, and we're going to also enable mouse over events. And if you go to click events here, we've got left mouse button as the main click event. Now, I'm going from memory. You can only left click on items. You can't right click on them. So when you left click on them, it'll bring up a little menu saying what you want to do with the item. So I'm going to leave it as left mouse button. But if you did want to do right mouse buttons or other buttons, you just have to add it here as another button. But we'll leave it like that for now. Compile, save. Okay, alongside that, we need to add that to our game mode. So we've already got a game mode being used here. We might as well just keep on using it, same one. So I'm going to go ahead and change the player controller class here to my adventure controller. Compile, save. Okay, cool. So at the moment, everything will look the same, except my mouse is visible. If you wanted the camera to be totally still, do you need to create a second camera blueprint? No, not at all. So we will be adding things to this soon. Don't know if it'll be in this episode, but we'll be adding modifiers to it so we can customize how the camera moves per scene. So you don't have to make loads of copies of different types of cameras. That's where the modifiers will come in. But more on that another time, probably. Okay, so next up, we've got the point and click nature of the game. So if I click on the environment piece, my character needs to walk over to it, which means AI controlled more than anything. So first things first, we need to have a nav mesh. So we're going to go in here and do volumes, nav mesh balance volume. And we're going to stretch that across the map. Like that. Okay, and hit P, and we can see what we're dealing with. Just extend it up a little bit. There we go, perfect. Okay, so that's that done. We can now, I can turn the P off now. I then want to go into the player character, and I'm going to disconnect all the input stuff. We don't want to mess about with that. So camera inputs, gone. Movement inputs, gone. Jump, don't want jump, gone. Begin play. We'll keep this in here for now, but we don't really need it. But we'll keep it in there for now. On begin play, we do want to make it so that this thing is AI controlled rather than player controlled. So we are going to, after add mapping context over here, we're going to do spawn default controller. And that means it gets possessed by this AI controller. Okay. And to test that out, I can just do AI move 2. Pawn be self. And we'll do like a random location radius. So it's just a tester to make sure that AI is taking control of it. Origin, do actor location. Radius, we'll do like 3000. Right, so let's test that out. Okay, so this is what I thought might happen. We do need to turn off and unpossess ourselves from it. So once we do begin play, we're doing all this stuff. Before we spawn default controller, we're going to do unpossess. Oh, hang on. Get player controller first, then unpossess. This is going to highlight another issue, but more on that in a moment. Yeah, here's that issue. So the issue is get player character can return false because we're no longer controlling a character. So if we go back to our controller, open full blue editor, and on begin play, yes, right, yeah, on begin play here, we get the player controller character, because you are in possession of it at start for a brief second. So on get player character, we're then going to promote that to a variable and call it player character. save. No. Oh, didn't actually replace it. Whoops. Where's the camera? Camera. We want to change that. Let me get the player controller. Pass to adventure controller. And get a reference to it. Then on the tick down here, we can get the reference to the player character. There you go. That should handle that. Yep, there he goes. Enough. And the camera's now tracking. I'm not doing anything. He's picked a random spot he's running to, now he's running to it. Okay? So, there we go. It works. So, what I need to do now is obviously not have it just run randomly to a spot. We need to make it so when we click on somewhere, it's going to walk to that location. Now, this is a bit trickier than it originally thinks, because if we go to the player character, let's take off this thing. Okay. So, especially being a 3D game, the depth of where your mouse is clicking. So, for example, if I were to click on the floor, no problem. But what if I click on the back wall here? Well, that makes no sense because you can't walk onto the wall. So, where is that going to go? And so, we're going to make this like a point where when we click, we're going to do find out what we're hitting and do a line trace down to find the floor. Okay. So, if it isn't already on the floor. So, if we go to the player controller, and we're going to do the left mouse button, and this will later on be an input, but for now, let's just do the input now rather than cutting the corner. Let's go into our input folder, actions, input, IA, click. Add it to our mappings, IA, click, and that's the left mouse button. Okay, so now if I go back to controller, I can find II, click. Okay, so when I do click on something, we're going to make it so that it does that what I say. It's going to detect what it's hit, and then do a line trace down to find the floor. Okay, so on IA click here, we've got, open this up. We're going to go on started, not triggered. Now, the reason why we're not doing triggered is because if I leave it as triggered, it's going to do it multiple times. I only want it to do it once. So started or completed, either one is fine. I'm going to do started. And this is just for movement. This is going to be changed later on. We're going to change that all about. Right now, we just want to test movement. So started over here. We're going to drag that out and do, not drag that out, sorry. We're going to do hit result under cursor by channel. And we'll leave it as trace channel as visibility for a second. But hit result, we're going to just, actually, I'll break it open. Unreal Game Jam. So as I mentioned in posts and the question time live stream, we've postponed or cancelled the January Game Jam because we're going to do, rather than 4 mini ones, because it's a lot of work to do, and it maybe fall behind on so many recordings and things, we're only doing one, but it'll be a big one with a much bigger prize pool and things like that. Thank you, Marcel. Okay, so we're going to get a location and we'll do a line trace down. So we're going to get find floor. No, we can't do find floor. We have to do line trace. Just do line trace. It'll be simpler. Line trace by channel. Start point is that location there. In fact, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do add. And I'm just going to offset it up a little bit, 50. And add another one to -50. No. Negative would do something a lot higher. -1,000. Like that. There we go. Again, trace channel will come back to us in a second. But we'll come back down to there. And we want to, on our out hit here, break it open and find the location. Now, rather than using the location as it is, if you're ever directing AI character to a particular location, you want to use the finding into a nav space option instead. So you get this location here, but you want to do random point in reachable point in radius, and use that as the origin, and just use a very small radius of like 5. Okay, that way you'll guarantee he's going to land. He's going to go to something he can navigate to. So I do that, and then like that. And when it started, we'll clean this up in a minute. We'll do AI move to. And the pawn is the player character. Destination is that destination there. Okay, that should do it. So when I click, we should get that. That'll get hit result onto cursor. Yeah, I think that's right. So I click there, it goes on the floor. Click on the wall, it goes to where the wall location is. Click on the back wall here. Oh, I haven't got a nav mesh over there, that's why. But I click on the floor, click on that bit over there, click on this bit over here. So it works out pretty well. Okay. And you may want to put like a decal or something on the floor, which we may do later on, but we're not fussed about that right now. Okay, so we can click and move our character quite easily around our map now. Okay. So now we got the character running around. What's next is clicking and interacting with objects. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to do bit masking. So when I click on something, there's options it can be. They're not all going to be the same. For example, you can't eat a doorknob, yeah? But you can do other things with a doorknob. So we're going to make the various interactions we can have. Now, I've got a list somewhere, hold on, of what's in Day of the Tentacle. I've got give, open, close, pick up, look at, talk to, use, push, pull. That's it, okay? So, open and close, I believe, are the same. It's just changes based upon what state it currently is in, but we'll try it anyway. Okay, so the first thing you do is create an enum for this stuff. So you go blueprint, enumeration, action action list. What's in your take on the radial menu? Get verb bar at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to do this as a radial menu eventually. Probably won't be today, but definitely down the road we'll make it a radial, because that's what Day of Tentacle, well, at least the remastered version of it does. I prefer radial because it means less mouse movement, which is a bit nicer for the player. But yeah, okay. So give, open, close, pick up, look at, talk to, use, push, pull. Okay, and we'll save that. Now when you've done that, you want to go down to the advanced options and you want to turn on Bitmask Flags. Turn it on, and this will make this enum suitable for bit masking. So now if I close that, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a, I'll do a test item. Okay, I'll do a test item. Test item. And in your test item, you're going to have a variable, and the variable will be possible actions. Okay, for example. And the variable type will be an integer, not an enum, an integer. And then you go down and you tick on Bitmask. Once you turn it on, this Bitmask enum will highlight, and you can just open this up and choose the one we made, which is this e-action list. And then we can compile this. Now, what a Bitmask allows you to do is if I go into possible actions, I can click on this and I can tick on multiple of these. Like this. So it's just sort of like having an array, but it's a little bit more efficient than an array because it's really, really cheap, easy way of doing it. But yeah, this is what we do here. Okay, so we can tick all these on and it'll give us all these options. Now, this is also really, really useful for things like filters and menus and inventories. So we'll do that in the inventory series at some point, but it's very useful for things like that because you can compare that with other Bitmasks and see what matches up with that. Okay, so possible actions would go like that and close that. Okay, so to handle this, we'll need an interaction interface. So we're going to go to blueprint interface. Can you change the actions by logic too? Yes, you can. So we're going to do interaction. We'll do actions interface. Actions. So it's all sort of named the sort of same thing. Interface. By the way, if you don't know, these live streams are done live with no prep. I haven't really made a point-and-click adventure game before, so you're seeing everything live being figured out live. So you can see my sort of working. But if I don't cover something, I don't explain something, please do pull me up on it and ask me to explain it. Okay. So in this action here, we need to get the possible actions. So get possible actions. And the output for this is going to be that integer. Actions. Okay. I don't think you can. Is Bitmask integer not a thing? No, it's not a thing. That's right, it's just integer. Okay. That'll do for now. Come back to that in a minute. Let's go back to our test item and go to class settings and give that the interface. So action interface. So when you've done that in interfaces, you'll see in here get possible actions. I want this to return this possible actions list. So I'll go into here and I'm just literally going to drag out my possible actions and plug that into there. Okay. Simple as that. And then we'll just give that an actual thing I can click on. Hold on. Cube. There you go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to what can I do? Just make it print string, I guess. I don't know. Let's go through this actually. So if I go into now and back into my controller, game controller. This by no means the only way of doing this. Like, you don't have to use Bitmask. You can do it other ways. I just wanted to do it so I can show you what Bitmask do. Yeah. Okay. So we've got this break it result, and we're going to get the possible actions from that list. Okay. So I'm going to keep the hit actor out. Come back to variable, and we'll just call that hit actor. But plug that into there. So when we click on something, we're going to store what we just clicked on. Then when it reaches its location on success, the hit actor, I'm going to get that out, and we're going to check if it implements the interface. Does implement actions. So if you click on a wall, we don't want it to come up with a menu every single time. We just wanted the actions interface to come up. So bring that into that branch there. Done. Okay. With that done, we can now drag out our hit actor again. And I can get the actions, get possible actions message. And that gets me an integer. Now, this is how you work with Bitmask. They're a little bit different. Let me actually explain this a little bit with Excel. We're going to Excel and I'll show you how this works. So, as we know, well, hopefully know, that all numbers in computers are zeros and or anything, all data is zeros and ones in computers. Okay, so 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay, so you get like a bit mask like this. Oh, a bit like this. Okay, this may be like the actual value you get. And if you don't actually know what these all represent, so if you can assign numbers to this one, so this is 1, this is 2, 4, 8. Okay, so this is 8-bit. And then you've got 16, 32, 64. No, I missed one up. No, that's right. 64. No, that's sorry. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 1, 2, 8, 2, 5, 6. So no, I had it right the first time. It doesn't end with 2, 5, 6. It ends with 1, 2, 8. Sorry, been a while since I've done this. 8, 4, 2, 1. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, thanks, Simon. So each one of these is a representative of these sort of values. Okay, so if the first, let's say I've got item A, item B, item C. Okay, so that's my enum list. And let's say I've turned on one, actually I'll do it 4 to make it a bit easier. Item D. Okay, so let's say I turned on item A, so that's ticked on, so that'd be a 1. B, no, I haven't. C, yes, and D, yes. Okay, so that's my selection I've got there. My mask, essentially. And if I've got like I want to see if this value, actually, let's just get rid of these 4, just do 4 at a time. If I were to put that value in here, so that'd be 1, 0, no, hang on, just be the other way around. So 1, 0, 1, 1, like that. Okay, so item A is that one, item B is this one, item C is that one, and so on. And then let's say I want to say like, okay, does this thing have items A and C collected? Okay, so that's our value. Okay, the mask is I want to check if I got item A and C. So 1, 0, 1, 0. So let's say we're doing an AND value. Okay, so the mask is this. So I'm going to put in 0, 1, 0, 1. And gives us, if they're both 1, the answer is 1. Okay, so we're going to have 0, 1, 0. Okay, so if the result you're looking for is the output of this, so 0, 1, 0, 1 is the same as the mask, that means yes, this value set does have item A and C in it. But let's say I wanted it to have also B in it. Okay, well, if that's the case, that'll be that one there. This will be 0, and that means that this does not equal this. Therefore, these two are not equivalent. Okay, that mask does not suit this mask, this value. Okay, so that's the AND operator. Now, there is other operators too, like you get XOR and OR. So let's take a look at OR and how that works. So if I change that to OR, OR means that one of the values has to be a 1. Okay, so this would be 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, and this basically allows us to basically turn on, basically combine 2 sets together. So if I want to combine this set and this set together, this gets me the final result. Okay, so I'm turning on 2 values at the same time. This is how you can change bit masks in the game if you want later on. So that's how you combine them. Okay, with an OR. Okay, so see how this is combined. Okay, then there's XOR. There are others, but I'll stop at XOR. Otherwise, it'll be all day. XOR. So XOR means exclusively OR. So in other words, one of them has to be a 1, and only one of them has to be a 1. If both are 1, then it's false. Okay. So 1 and 1 is 0. x1, 0, 1. Okay. So if I XOR this value, these two values together, my result is 0, 1, 0, 1. So in this case, I'm only going to get B and D. So it gives me the difference between the two. So if I've got anything that's different in here, it'll spit out what's different. Okay. So that is how, like, a basic gist of how bit masking works, essentially. So what we're going to do is get impossible actions here. Is I'll take the actions out, and to do a bit mask, you can also just search for bitwise. You'll see and, not, or XOR. I didn't do cover not, but okay. But what we want to look at is the and. Okay, so and then I want to make a bit mask. Like that. Plug that in. And when you use this node, you need to set what bitmask enum you're going to use. So we can use our e-action list. And I can now flag on what ones I'm going to look for. So does it contain the give option? Okay. Now, if that value there is equal to this value, that means it is true. Okay. So if I print string that return true or false. Okay. So if we, as we saw from that first example, if we put in and a value, if it comes back as the same value, that means yes, it does contain that value. Okay. So compile or save that. So this, yeah, we're going to put this into our scene. So put our test object in there. Test item. Like that. Click on that. Oh, it's not, there you go, true. Okay, so it has that give whatever I ticked on it. What one did I tick on it? Yeah, give. But if I told this thing that it can't give like this item to something, I'm going to turn off give. I'll click on that. It comes back false. Yep. So that is how bitmasks work. And I can see this another example. If I wanted to, I can say, does this have give and pick up? Okay. And test item here, we can say this has give, pick up, but not open or close. Okay. It's give and pick up though in the other ones, but we leave that alone. So now if I push play, this will say true because it does have those two values. If it actually reaches the goal, true. Okay, so it's really, really cool techniques to filter out stuff. Okay, and I said you could do this with an enum array and pass through the array, but this is a lot quicker than using an array. And it's also a lot more efficient, and it's just kind of cool to use. And it also what's really good about this versus an array is that we can compare multiple options with multiple options, so we don't have to do one at a time. We can do multiple things, so that's why it works really well as a filter for some like menu design stuff. But anyway, let's bring up our menu based upon what we got here. How are we doing for time? Okay, we've done about half an hour. Okay, so my game folder, we're going to create a UI folder. And we'll do an action menu widget. And now this down the line will be a radial, but for time's sakes, we'll just make it vertical box only. Just to save time. And test it out, bit sudo. So make another widget, and this would be W, and this would be action. Action menu and action. And in the action, we're going to add a button and some text to the button. We'll make the button color for the text black. And I'll change the design on screen so I can see what it kind of looks like. Yeah, that'd be fine. Okay, so this text here is going to change based upon what action we're using. So on the text block here, we're going to take this out. And we're going to put in name, text, action. And then go to the graph. I need to add two variables to this one. First text variable is the text description of it. So text And that'll be text. And I'll make that editable. Okay, so I can, when I drag it into the menu later, I can do that. And then on here, I'm also going to have the bitmask. This will be an integer. And again, that's going to be editable as well. And what's going to happen is on the construct, we're going to, oh, sorry, you need another variable. We need to have the possible actions, which is an integer as a bitmask. So on the construct, we're going to take our possible actions out. And we're going to do bitwise and put in our bitmask here. The bitmask down here, make sure we turn on bitmask and action list. Same with this one, bitmask, action list. There you go. Okay, so if that is true and equal to itself, okay, if it's equal to a bitmask, that means I want to change its visibility. Okay, so on branch, we're going to set visibility to collapsed. Difference between collapsed and hidden. Hidden is it'll be invisible but still take up the space. Collapsed, it'll be invisible and tighten up that gap. So yeah. Okay, done. Right, so all I've got to do now is I need to add this to my action menu. So I'm going to go to action menu, graph, not graph, sorry, design here. I'm going to add a vertical box. Oh, whoops, I need to put in a canvas panel first. Oh, I just bit my cheek. Ow. Vertical box. And I probably will do a dedicated video on bitmasks at some point. So don't fret if you don't get it straight away. You can always watch this back later, or, you know, wait for that video to happen. So action in there. Right, so I could do each action now. So this one is going to be give. And bitmask for that is give. Oh, I didn't make it. Hang on pre-construct. I'm going to make it so the text here, set text, is equal to this text. There we go. Right. Okay. This one will be open. And that'll be open. Close. Is that also possible to do that in the invisibility function instead of the construction event? You want it in the construction event because you want it to change straight away. The visibility function is only going to event's only going to happen when it changes visibility. So you want to do it before it changes visibility because that's the very first thing you should be doing. Pick up. Look at. Masky 420, could you help me with a second? For some reason, some foliage I've been placing recently verts back to its original placement. Place it underground or an angle, it goes back to a default placement. Are you actually using the foliage tool, or are you doing some other method? There's quite a few ways of doing it, Marks. Hi, AJ. The foliage tool. Shouldn't be an issue. Can't say I've seen that problem before, Marks, unfortunately. So I'm not too sure what to suggest. Nearly there. One more. Oh. When you add these widgets, how would you maintain its scaling and placement despite the window size? So this is because we're using the canvas panel. And what's important about the canvas panel is its anchor. So this vertical box here, say here, take size of content. Actually, I won't do size of content. I'll just make it a bit bigger. There you go. The anchor determines where it's going to measure the distance from. So the position here, X and Y, is determined from this point on. And this point is locked to a relative point on the screen, in this case, top left. You can change the anchor, so it changes based upon what size of the screen it should be on. So for now, we'll keep this on the left, so we want to keep it on our left, anchor to the left. But if you've got something on the right-hand side, you want to make sure the anchor's to the right over here too. I believe I've got videos about anchoring on the canvas panel elsewhere. Okay, so we've got this action menu coming up. Now, on the action menu, on the graph of this, I need to know what actions I want to show. So we're going to do possible actions. In fact, actually, rather than that, we're going to do actor. Who the actor this is for. Actor. This will be editable and exposed on spawn. So when we create this widget, we can send over to it which actor we want to show actions for. Then on the construct, we're going to drag out our actor. And we're going to do the actions. Get possible actions message. Using the actions interface. And it gets us this actions here. And these actions I want to feed into my action menu options here. So what I need to do is create an array of these basically. So we can build that all out. So I'm going to drag out my first one, make an array, and click. And we're just going to drag in each one. Okay, and for each loop, I just realized what I want to do on my actions here is not put this stuff on a construct. I need to make this on another event. Hold on, custom event called filter action, we'll call it, and we'll put that in there. The reason why is because I think the contract's going to happen before this has happened, so it'll be a bit too late by then. So what we're going to do is just call out here filter action. Oh, but what I can do is I can send over the possible action it can be. So possible actions set, plug that into there like that. So we can send over the possible actions. Okay, action menu, possible actions there. And I want to drag, let's promote to variable, save us dragging it all over the place. There we go. And drag the actions into there. Okay, and that's it. So it's just going to go through and filter all the actions out that it needs to. They're not being deleted, they're just being hidden. So yeah. Yeah, Mesh, we're on Twitch now too. Yeah. Okay, so we've got that going. Now we need to go back to our test item. Not test item, sorry. Adventure controller. So rather than doing this print string test that we were doing, we're going to take this out. And take that out. And on the hit actor here, we're going to tell this thing to be part of our widget. So we can do create widget. Oop, action menu. And the actor is going to be the hit actor. Promote to variable. We'll call it action menu. So if I did click on something else, I'll make the action menu disappear. So action menu, add to viewport. Pardon me. Compile. Yeah. Okay. So if I were to click on this over here, open and close. Ta-da! So we can now see the actions related to this menu. So that is possible actions here. Oh, no, I want it. Oh, sorry, my bad. Hang on. I wanted to do it the other way around. So, action. If it is equal to that, I want it to be visible. There you go. And if it's false, we'll make it collapsed. There we go. Sorry, I had it the wrong way around. There you go. Now I've got all the ones I need, apart from the 2 that I don't have ticked on. Okay, so we've got all these options available to us now. Right. Brilliant. And just to show this is different for each one, I'm going to make 2 of these. Okay. And I'll just, then for testing purposes, I'm going to make possible actions here editable. And when I click on here, we're going to change this to be just showing give on its own. Okay. I then also want to make it so the menu disappears when I click on something else. So on my controller, when I click here on started, I'm going to take my action menu, get, convert the validated get, and if it is valid, remove from parent, and then carry on. Otherwise, if it's not valid, just carry on like normal. Okay, so if I click on this one, we'll get, I have to sort out the collisions of this, but there we go, we've got our little menu here. And I click somewhere else, click on this one over here. We've got the give menu. So now we've got a filtered menu based upon whatever actor we click on, which is pretty neat. Okay, so very short work to get that going. Then to actually react to this thing, then we just need to add the events onto our interfaces. So let's go into our interface. Where did I put it? There you go, action interface. So in here, we're going to put in all the interfaces that we have in here. So on give, on open, as a beginner on gaming development, do I need a license to get my income from Epic? And is there a limit I should reach it? You don't need a license or anything like that, no. You only owe Epic money if your game reaches a certain threshold, which is like $1 million, I think. So nothing to worry about just yet. Make the game first, then worry about that stuff. Or get a publisher to help you with that. Oh, autosave, clicking on damn things. On close. On pickup. And the reason why I'm making these all individual is because every actor is going to have a different response to each of these things, probably. On talk to. On use. On push. On pull. Okay, so there's our various options there. We can close that. Okay, so yeah, now if I go back to my widgets, and we're going to go to action, graph, and on this I want it to have an event dispatcher for on action selected. Okay, and if I click on the button and do on clicked, I'm going to call on action selected. Now for this I need to know what action I've selected here. So actually we don't have to actually do that because we can leave it like that. That'd be fine. Because if I go back to my action menu and just actually name these things, so action give, for example. Open. Close. Look at action. The thing when you're making a point and click adventure game, or any type of adventure game really, or actually any game really, when you're thinking about the systems you want to design, you want to design them in a way where it makes less work for you in the long term. So although I'm having to type this out quite a few times, this should be the only time I have to type this out. Because we're making a system that's agnostic to whatever we click on. We can make them react to whatever we're clicking on rather than what we're telling them what we want them to do. It's a really important way of making your code really easy to iterate and work on. Because if it isn't as quick to iterate on, then it takes you an extra long time to make the whole game. Right, so how this works is if I go back to here and go to, say, action give, and go down here and you see the event on action selected. This is the event dispatcher that I made in the individual action. Click on that, and there's action give. Here's my actor, and we'll do on give. Done. Yeah, and I can do remove from parent. Okay, that's that. Right, next, close. And we're going to do on close. So just a bit tedious at the start here, but once we're done, we're done. Look at. On look at. On open. So this bit is a bit tedious, unfortunately, but what needs to be done? Short little tip, by the way, if you haven't realized, is if you have copied some nodes and you want to paste the nodes, if you haven't realized, it will paste it wherever your mouse cursor is. So if I put my mouse cursor over here, for example, here, hit Control V, it pastes it where my mouse is. So you can save yourself some dragging around if you want by just doing that. Push. So. By the way, what does everyone think of the new shorts idea I've been doing? So those how-to videos that we have been doing, I figured they could work quite well as shorts. So what if you've checked it out, check it out, and if you've checked it out already, let us know what you think. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out and let us know what you think. Let's push talk to. Two. Oh, good. You'd like them. Because YouTube's algorithms changed somewhat to promote the shorts, probably more so than videos. So needed some way of doing shorts. There won't be just doing how-tos. Like when I go to GDC and things like that, I want to show behind the scenes of that. As well as like business development stuff, and showcasing some of that stuff too. As much as possible. Give you guys an insight into all that. On use. Okay. Done. So what you do is on your items that you want to work on, you just go into the interfaces and you put in what you want it to do. So naturally, we're going to have in the future a dialogue system where we can do talk tos. We're going to have an analysis system to put text about what the object is. So we're going to do lookouts, open and closing, all that stuff, interaction stuff we'll be adding in future going on there. But let's go through and make a simple one here. So we'll do on use. Okay, so this is the workflow of this. So event on use, I'll say this thing is going to be destroyed. Okay, simple test. Now, for that to be the case, use needs to be an option in here. So I'm going to possible actions, and we'll make sure use is one of them. We can't. We'll leave look at on, and we'll look at and use. Okay. Compile and close that. So if I push play now, I've got look at and use. I click on use. It disappears. Okay. And actually, this will evolve into like an inventory system. We have to keep track of what items we've collected. Some text description type stuff. You know, very simple things we can do here. Now we've got a little bit of time, so I'm going to do a little look at description here too. So let's do a widget for that. Look at description. And open it up. And again, we'll do a canvas panel. And we're going to have a border. Put that in here. And I'll do this one down the bottom here. So the whole bottom half of this is all like covered up. So I'm just drag it up like that. Brush color black. 0.7. Whatever. And then some text. Okay, and that text here I'm going to put in the center. And we'll make it auto wrap. Like this. Cool. So this thing is a look at option, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-fill a tiny bit of the text already. So this text value, we'll make a variable. And we're going to call it text description. And go to the graph. And on the graph here, we need to know a variable for the description we want to send over. So description. Spelled wrong, but never mind. Editable and exposed on spawn. And then on construct, pre-construct, doesn't really matter. We'll do a construct. We'll take out our text description, the text widget part of it, and we'll do set text. And do format text. And I'm going to put that in curly brackets. Or actually, I'll do square brackets. Square brackets, and then I'll put in a curly bracket for desk. And close curly brackets, and then square brackets. Okay. So my description there is my description here. Okay. We may want a button on here to close this probably as well. Let me add a button here. And we'll put it at the bottom right. All this UI stuff is obviously placeholder. Close. Text here saying close. Change the color of it to black. And this one I'm going to anchor to make sure I've anchored to the bottom right here. Okay. And then on the button, do on clicked. And we'll do remove from parent. Yes. Okay. Right. So if I go to look at now for that text test item, probably interfaces on look at. Now for this, I'm actually going to do something a bit unique. I'm going to make a library. Because we know that going to need one eventually. So I'm going to do blueprint function library. Common library. And this one's going to have a library function called display lookat. And that's going to take in a text value. Description. Right, so what we're going to do here is now do create widget. Choose our lookat description, plug in the description, and add to viewport. So being a common library, if I go to my lookat, I can just call that lookat function, display lookup. There you go. And I put in the description here. So a simple test item that looks volatile. Whatever I should do is not touch it. Okay. So let's make this thing possible actions. We've got look at and use as already there. Go to plate. Go over to my item. Look at a simple test item that looks volatile. Whatever I should do is not touch it. I'm going to touch it. Use. Done. Yeah. So lots of really cool things covered today. And within an hour, less than an hour, probably. I don't know how. When did I start this? Bit an hour. We've done it just over an hour. We've got movement in the cameras, Bitmask in of the action menu, moving around. We've got interaction with the menu stuff. All looking pretty good. So I think what we will do is end it there, because what will be really nice to do next time is to start looking at the other actions, such as like picking up an object. So picking it up and adding it to your inventory, and then being able to use it on another object, for example. That's what the give comes into. So we'll work on that in the next part, okay? Which will be in February. Okay, so this is a monthly thing. We're going to do 12 episodes of it throughout the year, and hope we'll get as far as we can throughout the year. And so far, good progress. We've got most of the game there. The core functionality of the game is there. We just need to just put in the other bits, little pieces, and then the rest is just content. That's what's quite nice about this type of game is there's very little. Well, let's say very little. Their setup. Once the setup's done, the rest is just content creation. So then it's down to your own creativity, and if you want to go for a wacky story like Day of the Tentacle, or something more serious like Broken Sword type games, yeah, whatever you want. Okay. But hopefully you really enjoyed this. I did. I got further than I thought I would. As I say, we're doing this completely live, with no pre-planning, no anything. And this will be a fun one to do because I haven't really made a point-and-click adventure game all the way through properly like this. So, yeah, I think it'd be quite a fun one to do throughout the year. And we'll jazz it up with some graphics and things later on down the road as well. We'll eventually get to making a radial menu rather than a list menu. But yeah, but do try out Bitmasks. Bitmasks are cool. We will be doing a video on them when we do filtering in the inventory series. So keep an eye on that. Things to look forward to. So on Patreon, we have got the 2D adventure game stuff coming out. So if you want to learn how to do a 2D game using sprites and Paper ZD and things like that, that series is ongoing over on Patreon. Episodes 2 and 3 will be out on Patreon this week. We've also just uploaded our UMG series. So UMG series is a once a month type thing where we take a look at a widget in a game that already exists and it's out there, and we try to recreate it, looking at it and breaking it down and putting it back into Unreal. So if you want to learn a lot more about widgets, it's a great place to pick that stuff up too. We've also got what else we got? There's more about action RPG stuff coming. Oh, and the very first few episodes of the new FPS RPG series is coming soon, which is really exciting because the FPS RPG series is something really quite different. In that what we're doing is we're taking a game idea and we're going to make it from scratch, and each episode is going to just work on it. The concept of the game is basically what if you're a super soldier but in like a fantasy game. So if you're, instead of fighting space aliens in a spacesuit, you're fighting goblins and demons with some armor. Still got a gun, still shooting things, but you're in that sort of setting. So that really nice juxtaposition between the fast-paced shooting we used to assign to sci-fi, but with a magical twist on it, which is pretty cool. So far so good on that. Done 4 episodes of that so far, so they're coming out on Patreon this month, I think. But hopefully that'll be a weekly series once it gets released there. But yeah, that'll do for today. Thank you so much. We're back again live on Wednesday for question time. So if you want to ask any questions about Unreal or game dev or anything else you want to ask, come by on Wednesday and we'll be answering your questions there. And next Saturday, really exciting one, we'll be doing a Let's Create, and we'll be doing Mario Party type gameplay or board game. So we're going to figure that one out live as well. Like, I don't know how to do that one yet. I've got to think of it. So we'll be doing that live next Saturday. So come by next Saturday to see that in action and see if we can figure that one out. And what's really good about that is you get to see sort of like my working out and my figuring things out live, and yeah, just working out from scratch basically. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you want to support the channel, please consider supporting me over on Patreon. It's just $1. You get access to all our video content, as well as access to our creator challenge, where you get like a little game jam type thing to work on each month, and you get feedback on your submissions there. So thank you so much everyone who is supporting the channel, and continue to do so over there as well as on YouTube. If you're not yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We're really close to 100,000. And it'd be great to hit that a big landmark milestone there, and yeah, really excited. Thanks so much everyone, take care, and see you next time. Bye.